Hi, this is Everett, Everett's Watercolors. Today I'm doing something a little different today. I'm starting out this week with just to paint along with you and hope you will join me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a small paint. I'm going to do a small painting in the studio and go over my techniques and go over the supplies I use and so forth. And what I'll try to do in the video in the description below, I have a description of everything I'm using here. But I get ahead of time. We'll talk about what equipment you use. You need your brushes and some paints and a piece of paper and a comfortable place to operate. So I'd like to be able to invite you to my studio and to paint along with me, and then ask questions after the broadcast if you have fun. This is going to come out after the painting is done, and then you can make comments on the description below. So let me go ahead and get started. My subject today is going to be trees, and it's kind of my favorite subject. So let me get started there. It's one I really love to do. And so let me go to my overhead camera. Okay, here's a reference photograph. Okay, and this is really a sturdy oak tree. A sturdy oak tree. I'll take a look at that. That's what we're going to paint today. And so, just make a simple drawing. I did here. I'm going to use this is a quarter sheet of Gemini watercolor paper, but I'm only going to use the top half. So the painting is going to measure about 10 inches by 8 inches here. So I'm only going to use a half of this. Then next week maybe I'll use the other half. So anyway, so for a quarter sheet, you just if you have a 9 by 12 sheet of watercolor paper, that would work. 9 by 12, but fit into an 8 by 10 frame. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare it so that when it's done, I can frame it in a. This is an 8 by 10 opening here, so I can put it into an 8 by 10 frame, or I can put it into 9 by 12. This is actually a 9 by 12 matte. So the idea here is to plan ahead about how you're going to frame your painting, and also what size you need and so forth. So that's a good idea. So that's what I designed today. So a little 9 by 12 matte to go in a 9 by 12 frame, and then just a half sheet here of my quarter sheet paper. This is Gemini 140-pound watercolor paper, and I'm going to be using my Holbein brushes over here. I'm going to use the 3/4 inch flat, and I've got a 1/2 inch flat Holbein brush. And I'm going to use, for some of the texture on the leaves, I'm going to use a simple bristle brush. You get this at any hardware store, but it's a 1/2 inch bristle brush. And the paints I'm going to use today, I'm going to use up here in the top, I got the ultramarine blue. I'll bring that down, ultramarine blue up here, and a little bit of, I'm going to put a little background sky blue, maybe a cobalt blue. And then I'm going to come down here and use some of my burnt sienna at the bottom, and also maybe down at the bottom of my palette I have the burnt sienna here, and off to the right here I have hooker's green and green number 2. And that's probably all I'm going to have to use today. A little bit of green, a little bit of brown, and some blue for the sky. Okay, so we're going to have some fun today, just getting started here. So it's kind of a background. I'm going to put this picture over there. Just look at it for a while. So I'm going to start out with a 1/2 inch. This is a 3/4 inch Holbein brush. It's flat, and it makes a good mark on the paper. And my supplies here, the paints and the brushes, are available on my website, everettswatercolors.com, on my art supply page. So I'm going to start out here with wet the paper, and we'll start a little bit of cobalt blue here at the top. And let me come down. I'll bring that down. I'll bring the picture. You can see the colors I'm using. Using cobalt blue. And I'm going to go ahead and put that in the sky, and just a simple sky, a little bit of color on the paper. And I'm not taping the paper down. I'm just going to leave it alone. This 140-pound paper can handle water. I leave some whites there. There could be little clouds in the sky, so I'm not really worried about that. And put some sky holes in here. And we'll bring it on down. I didn't wet the paper, so it really is a little wet on dry. That's wet paint on dry paper, which is okay. And bring it on down here, right on down to the bottom of the half sheet here I've got marked up. Okay. I'll make sure that make sure the paint's spread around real good. So there's my background. Just make sure I cover the paper with that blue paint. Okay, so there's the first layer. Okay, and what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to use the blow dryer. And this here happens to be a Ranger blow dryer, which I'll use nice and quiet. So the first thing I did was after I did a simple drawing here of the photograph of the design, then I put a little bit of blue on the paper. So we're just going to relax today and have good enjoyment. I love drawing and painting trees. One of my favorite subjects. Now, I test the paper with the back of my hand. And if it feels warm, then it's dry. Okay. So you always test a sheet of paper, make sure the paint is dry. Okay, water's dry, good. Okay, now I'm going to pick up, I think what I'll do is, I'll start with a trunk now. I'm going to pick up a little bit of burnt sienna. I'll mix that in with a little bit of ultramarine blue to give me a dark brown. And I'll come in here, I'm going to put in that trunk right here at the base. And bring that on down. So a nice sturdy trunk here for the oak tree. I'm using the corner of the brush and the side of the brush. That there. Let me pick up a round. The number 8 round. I picked up. I'm going to put in some of these smaller branches here. A branch out here to the side. There's a branch up here on this side. And we'll have some more branches up here at this point. And I'm going to leave some of that sky hole showing through. It makes it more interesting to see some of those lines and so forth in there. I'll put another limb over here on this side. Okay. All right. Then I'm going to take the 3/4 inch brush, and I'm going to mix a little bit of green. That's green number 2. A little bit of Hooker's green, and mix a little bit of blue. I don't use the paint right out of the palette. I usually mix it with another color. So I'm going to use this mixture of blue and green. And I might put a little bit of brown in that, just to kind of cool. The red in the burnt sienna will tone that green down because it's a contrasting color with the green, so it'll give it a nicer. So I'm going to go ahead and put in some marks in here just to get started. And I'm going to go ahead and use the bristle brush, pick up that paint. And out here, this will give me a little more texture. Now just tapping it down, and it'll give me a nice rough edge that I want to have on this tree. And I'll switch brushes back again. I'll pick up the 3/4 inch here so I can get a little more paint on the brush. So I'm adding, just adding the same. We're putting some darks in here later on. Once I get the first coat down here, getting most of the paint on here with this 3/4 inch brush. There's some sky holes down here next to these branches down here. We'll leave those alone. There we go. And a branch, yeah, a oak tree has a large crown. It has a lot of limbs are very long, especially when they get older. I mean, oak trees are probably some of the oldest trees in the world. Is oak trees. They last for a long time, and they grow very large over years. So the oak tree has got a large shape to it. I'm very familiar with oak trees. I have one in my front yard, and they have a lot of shade in the summertime. Now I'm using this bristle brush now to give me that rough edge to look like leaves on the outside. So I'm just stamping that, just loading the brush and just going in and stamping that into the paper. Now give me that rough texture on the edges. So I'm building out the canopy now, or the crown of this large oak tree. Give it a nice shape. How that bristle brush just gives me a nice texture at the edges. It looks like the leaves coming down. And sometimes while it's still wet, my palette bottle is dot sprayer, which is palette bottle dot sprayer sold exclusively on Everett Watercolors. It's a nice way to put a little texture in it. So all I do is light tap. I just got plain water in this. Plain water. I use that to wet my palette. But also right here, I'm just going to put a few light sprinkles here of water. And what that does, it'll give a little texture to that paint that's already on there. Okay, and that'll loosen up that paint so you can see the texture right now in the trees. Okay, so I'm gonna let that dry. You can see I've got the shape of the crown, a really large tree with a large trunk of the oak tree. So I got a good base coat here started. Let me go ahead and dry this. Okay, so what I did here was I mixed up some green from the palette and mixed it with ultramarine blue and a little bit of burnt sienna to tone down the green to give me a complementary mixture. It neutralizes that bright green or that sharp green, and gives me a duller combination. Then I use the 3/4 brush to put most of the paint down, and I use the bristle brush to work on the edges, give me that look of leaves on this outside edge. Okay, all right. I check with the back of my hand. It feels dry. Okay, all right. So now we're going to go in. And just do a little bit of. Let me find my Holbein. This is a Holbein number 8 round. This is what I wanted to find. Okay, this is Holbein round, and so I'm going to go in now. I'm going to take the little bit of that brown, burnt sienna, and a touch of ultramarine blue. And I'm going to go ahead and put in some of these, some branches up in these sky holes. And I'll put a little out here, put some out here in this one. I'm going to darken up the trunk a little bit now. More contrast here in on the brown. This is like second layer now. See, once you put a second layer of paint on top, that automatically darkens up the colors. And of course, all these limbs and so forth underneath the tree are in shadow because of all that large foliage here is covering it up. Okay, so right now we got a pretty good shape of an oak tree, a good shape of an oak tree. Okay, now I'm going to finish off a little bit. Now I'm going to put a little bit of ground here, and so I'm going to mix up a lighter color. Mix up this little bit of a yellow ochre down here at the bottom. Get a little yellow ochre mixed in with that green. Will give me a nice light color here at the bottom. So we'll have some grass, some light grassy. So I'm making this into a summer scene with a green tree and the grass on the ground. I love to paint trees. They're one of my favorite subjects. Landscapes. I have a lot of videos on my website, my YouTube channel, and you'll see a lot of my demonstrations there of other trees and other tree paintings. Everett's Watercolors on YouTube. We'll be able to see all my videos on there live. Some of my lives and my shorts. Okay, now I'm going to put a little bit, just a touch of background. So I'm going to take some darker colors here now. Make a darker blue. That's Hooker's green mixed in with a ultramarine blue. I'm going to put just a little bit of background here. So these will be some background trees behind, way off in the background, way off. So I'm putting in the background. So this tree here won't be all by itself. Give us some company out there in the background. And I'll come over on this side, get a few more background trees. You vary the height there, so we have not all the same height. Different trees back there, way off in the background. And make a simple statement there. Okay, and that kind of finishes that off a little bit. Now what I'll do now, I'm going to put the last touch I want to make, and take this 1/2 inch flat Holbein brush and mix up, have some of that dark green now. Now I'm going to go in now and put in some definite shadows here within the tree. These are the branches, and give a little more dimension. And I'm going to have the light coming from this side over here. The light coming from the top left will be the light source coming this way. So this will be the dark side over here on the right. The dark side over here will be the right side of the tree. Of course, the lower parts of the limbs are darker; they're in shadow. We'll add a little touch of shadow here, and up around these branches. So over here it'll be a lot darker over here because it's the sun is on the other side. So this will bring this up. Over here it's all dark or darker. Now I'll finish off now with the bristle brush to give me that texture. Just stamp it in, and I'll break up those patterns in there a little bit. Give me a rough edge. Okay, now I'm going to put a little bit of shadow on the ground here underneath the tree. But right under the base of the tree, I'll put a little bit of shadow. Use some of that brown and so we'll give this a little shade under here, okay? And the shadow, because the sun's coming this way, the shadow will be longer on this side. And the shadow's smaller here. As I go over here, the shadow gets longer. Okay. Okay, now let's put a mat around that. So that pretty well completes what I wanted to do. I put in the big crown of the oak tree. Now let's put a mat board around it. Okay. So this one here, I bring it down just a little bit, and you can see I might have to get a bigger mat for that to finish out the whole thing. But there, I'm going to start out with that. But that's mainly the tree that I wanted you to show there, and then I just added a background to it. So I get a bigger opening now for my mat board. My mat will make it fit. Okay, well that's a lot of fun today. So let me take you back to the main camera. Before I leave, remember this was the reference photograph that I started out with, and then from that I painted the tree on watercolor paper. Okay, give you a nice close-up. Okay, so that was the watercolor exercise on painting a oak tree. Hey, okay, this so every week now, every Thursday, I was putting out live videos before on Thursdays. But now I'm gonna do a video sometime during the week, and then I'm gonna put it out on Thursday. So this video will be there on Thursday after 2:00 p.m. and you'll see my video there. And if you like, give me a like and give me a thumbs up. That really helps with my rating. And if you have any comments or questions, put them in the comment section below. And also you can also write to Everett's Watercolors and then give me a comment. I'm also on Facebook, so you can make comments in my Everett's Watercolors art group on Facebook. And those in LinkedIn can also make comments on the video. I'd appreciate all that. So until next week then, I will see you on the next live video. And pass this on to your friends. That I'll be on every Thursday. It'll come out on YouTube after 2:00 p.m. every Thursday. Okay, and later on I'll be putting out a video on Simply Drawing with Everett. So catch me on that also. So you all have a nice week, and I'll see you after the week. So bye.